So, Luba, let me just jump in with responding to Tandy's question. Tandy, the reality is that if your school is in a working class community, the reality is, the vast majority of your parents will be working class and maybe don't have the kind of skill sets with post-school qualifications that you think, well, we need this kind of skill set to be a treasurer. So, I mean, as Tony's pointed out, you don't necessarily have to have that skill set, but in a working class community, and I'm currently, as I say, working in a working class community with 2 schools in Cape Town, and it's been interesting for me to see what the community regard as good governance. So the people that have been elected onto the governing body and who are clearly doing a very good job have been people in the community who have some kind of a profile. So, and that seems to be either they're running a business in the community already, so running a tuck shop, or I mean, one parent is selling building material, secondhand building material. So, so in the community, they're regarded as someone who can work well with money. And then the other thing, which seems to be a complete, a very good indicator, is if they are good parents. So the chairperson of the governing body at the one school that I'm involved in is just a very good parent. She's got 2 children at the school. She's got 2 children out of the school, and she's regarded as being a very engaged, very loving, very present parent. And so that has obviously been recognized by people in the community, and she's been elected to the governing body chairperson position. So I don't think necessarily if you are in a poor or working class community, that's going to make it a problem if the parents don't have specific skills. Those can always be assisted for, with outside agents, or the principal can assist with specific skills around understanding the department's financial requirements for the forms they have to fill in. But I think people of good character are found everywhere, and that's really where you should start with looking in those kinds of communities. Thank you. Daya, you muted.
No, I'm just checking now. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Okay. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, so just to add both to Tony and to Dave, I've worked in schools typically where you had this type of situation where you didn't have the skill sets that a modern day suburban school would expect. People who are chartered accountants and advocates and lawyers and so on. But what you will find within a context of a community, especially in township schools, in schools in rural areas and so on, is people who are committed. That's number one. They really want to add value. They might not be employed, but at the same time, they're not there to destroy the school, or they're not there to make the school dysfunctional. And I think that is the important focus, is that we want parents, number one, who are positive, who can support the principal, the SMT, and the educators, but also add value in other ways. And perhaps they have partnerships with people outside the community. They might be able to latch on to the local council, perhaps where people have got extended business partnerships, but where they can bring some sort of contribution in a positive way. But I've seen over time that you can get pretty destructive people in community who are unemployed, or people who don't have anything else to do but perhaps pass their time in the school. And that's when you find the destruction. And I think those are the elements we don't want in our school to be governors. We want people who can contribute but can make a difference in the school. And I think principals or people within the school community need to advocate that, especially when they're looking for potential people. Once again, there are others who want to be part of the governing body because they want to perhaps expand their business. And expanding their business meaning that they want tenders and so on that come in within the school system. And those are typically not the people we want in governing body structures. Thank you.
Thank you, Daya. We have another question. It reads as follows: is an affidavit permissible as a proof for guardianship? Is an affidavit permissible as a proof for guardianship?
Tony, do you want to answer that or you want me? Okay, Tony, you go for it. I can see you ready. I'll come.
Ladies and gentlemen, the definition of a parent is pretty broad. It's pretty broad, and the school actually decides what or whether the person who claims to be a guardian or a parent actually performs that role. Now, grandparents, for instance, very often are not legal guardians, but they are performing the role of the parent. And then it is in the best interests of the school to consider the eligibility as positive for people like that. However, if you have any kind of concern, then it's probably better to try to get some kind of legal proof that the person is in fact the legal guardian or the legal parent. Now, let me just for a minute, Daya, you might want to come in after this. I just want to say the following. Let's say, for instance, you have a divorce, and the matter of the divorce is that the youngsters stay, for instance, with the father. The father remarries. Now, on your voters' roll, you're only allowed 2 parents, only 2. Now, what happens if the biological mom says, but I want to vote? You're going to have to, as a school, ask the father, please, to show what the conditions were of the divorce. I'm pretty clued up on this because it happened this week. So if you don't get that, then obviously the person who is the legal guardian, the legal parent, not the biological parent, that person then gets the vote. I hope I've covered most of it. But ladies and gentlemen, go back to the law and you'll see that the law says anybody who performs the role of a parent, in other words, looks after the child, makes sure that the child is clean and well fed, looks after the child in other aspects, the psychosocial aspect, the health aspect, the provision of school books and stationery, and the well-being of the child, that person does qualify. So let's consider that then, because we're in a democracy, a constitutional democracy, I hasten to add. Daya, maybe you want to continue?
Sure. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I think you're like spot on. I just want to add and perhaps in other ways mention that we're looking at the legality. And I think we all very well know that to get an affidavit is very easy, very simple. Going to a SEPS station and getting an affidavit is like buying ice cream over the counter today. I'm being honest. So my question is that how do you validate this process? And in validating the process, and whilst I agree fully, and that it is clear that it's someone who is a caregiver who takes care of the child, etc., etc. I think we might find ourselves sometimes in a dispute also, Tony and colleagues, is that you'll find uh, the parent who registered the child at the school now is a biological parent. But you find someone who comes in and says, I'll take care of the school fees. But in taking care of the school fees, inadvertently gets to the election as the so-called guardian now, purely because the person now wants to get into this process. And I think that is where we need to look at the anomaly around the practical aspect and how an electoral officer will then actually dispute that or justify in any way whether there's a dispute and how parent can contest this later. And you'll find the contestation comes in when there's a disciplinary action at the school side. And now the person who stood for elections doesn't pitch up for the disciplinary hearing, but the biological parent pitches up. And now we ask the question, who is the bona fide parent or guardian who should be taking care of the matter? Should it be the person who's paying the school fees who says, I stood for elections and I'm the parent, or the biological parent? And so perhaps I'm leaving you more with a question than an answer by saying we need to consider all these aspects about the legality of the affidavit. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. We are running out of time, but I think we will attend to this one. The rest, I'm not sure what's going to happen. This question says, can an educator that is currently subjected to a disciplinary hearing be nominated and elected as an SGB member?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a stab at that, and I think my colleagues can correct me. But unless the educator has been found guilty and been given a sentence, that charge against them is still not proven. So it may not be wise to put someone in who has this charge against them. But it's legally they're allowed. I would say they're allowed to stand. Innocent until proven guilty.
Thanks. Okay.
No. I want to support Dave. Again, the law is quite clear that person has every right to stand. But I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit and say, if someone like that is elected onto the SGB, then there's something a little bit awkward in terms of the relationships and in terms of the perceptions in the school. We talk about an educator. So it would be very useful for the principal to go and find out what is cooking behind the scenes. The issue at stake, or the issue at the heart of the matter, might not be anything that is SGB related. It might be something else entirely. But someone may stand for election. Your real problem is if such a person were elected to the governing body, because then the anticipation can be that some people are, it might be a palace revolution in the offing. People wanting to take over the school and and capture the school, which is, of course, happens from time to time. So, Daya, over to you.
Thanks, Tony and Dave. I think, again, the important fact we're looking at is, are these people in good standing? I think in good standing probably brings the equation. And certainly support what Dave and you say, Tony. You're innocent until proven guilty. We cannot prejudge someone whilst something's under investigation. However, it does cast a bit of a shadow on the person, whether it's character, whether it's integrity, whether it's ethics, whatever it might be. And once that is questionable, I think the constituency, and in this case, we're talking about an educator, and I think the educators are the ones who vote in that particular person. And I think they would know better by saying, well, we have confidence because this person will represent us, but let's wait until this case has been probably communicated, and it might overshadow the whole process. And I think we're talking the same language. I think we need to be cautious. At the same time, let's take the law and let it run its course as well. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say, Luba, thank you very much for bringing us onto that desert island of yours. I must say, I've been wondering how is it that you get Wi-Fi of this quality on that desert island? It is absolutely spectacular, and those of us who actually work are very jealous of you and your desert island. Beautiful, beautiful background. Thank you, Luba.
Okay, colleagues, thank you very much to the three gentlemen. Thank you for the presentations that were presented so well. And thank you also for the feedback that you gave on the questions that were asked. We value you and we value your feedback. I think we have come to the end, and as the MC for the for the day, I have done my job. I hope I've done it well. I'm going to now hand over to Luba so that she can do the finishing.